convenience is like a disservice to yourself. So when you do things out of convenience, you're taking away everything else out of it, and you're doing it strictly because it's easy or it's in the way of what you're doing. So like what I mean, like for example, when you settle for a bad friend group because that's all you're around, that's because it's convenient. Or if you date a girl because she lives down the street, you're desperate, it's convenient, yada yada yada. So it's the same thing with like relationships and like a job. Like it's convenient, I've been going there for such and such long, why would I leave now? Why would I do what I actually want to do with my life? Because if you do that requires change, and then change isn't convenient. That's the issue. Accepting the fact that you have to do accepting the fact that you have to do things that other people don't, that's not convenient. So people don't like to do that. They have to go out of their way to do things. That's not convenient. Making friends that are somewhat far away, that's not convenient. Even if they're worth your time, it's not convenient. Dating a girl long distance or whatever, that's not convenient. But ultimately, this is what it comes down to. If you're becoming friends with somebody or you're dating someone, whether it's girl, guy, whatever, if you're doing it out of convenience, I'm telling you right now, that love will die. It might not die fast, but it will die at some point. It will not last, because it's like I said before about like lust. When you lust, and that's like your first instinct, and I'm not saying it's all the time because everybody does it, but like if your foundation of the relationship is built on that, that's a problem. So like if the foundation of a relationship is strictly built on just sexual things and nothing else, that's the relationships that fail. So it's the same thing with like convenience. If your foundation is built on the fact you guys live close to each other, or the fact that you guys work with each other, or something along those lines, but that's like the main reason why you guys are dating, you're building on a weak foundation. If you make friends with people at school and you don't necessarily like them, or you don't really relate to anything they do, and you're just friends with them because they're there, that's convenience. And eventually it ain't gonna work out. You're not gonna want to be friends with them because you're gonna realize that you guys have nothing in common, or maybe they treat you like shit, whatever. But convenience is like, that's why we have like convenience stores. That's why, because it's convenient, we'll pay $8 for a water bottle because it's in the way. People don't like to go out of their way to get, even if it's better for them, people don't like to get out of their way to do that, right? People would rather go out to fast food, eat like shit, instead of getting something healthy and cooking it at home because it's convenient, but they sacrifice their health. So like with the relationships, when you do everything out of convenience, you're sacrificing that real love aspect, the thing that keeps it together. So essentially, you are literally just wasting your time. Now, am I saying, oh yeah, if you get with anybody near your hometown, you're wasting your time? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm getting at is, if you're doing everything out of spite of strictly convenience, which, believe it or not, most people do, you are doing yourself a disservice. You're wasting your own time, essentially. But this is like especially for like dating. Like I think this is genuinely a real problem in dating, and that's why so many relationships fail, because they just go with what's convenient. Nobody wants to go through the hard thing anymore. Arguing is not convenient, right? Disagreeing is not convenient. Going through tough time is not convenient in relationships, and that's what people try to steer away from because they want convenience. What's convenient? Well, she lives close to me. Okay. She doesn't be herself around me, or he doesn't be himself around me. That's convenient. Why? Because they can put on a mask and fake their emotions. And if their emotion is always, happy-go-lucky, it's convenient. I don't have to deal with any disagreeing or, maybe letting them know, like reassurance. I don't have to deal with that because reassurance isn't convenient. Things like that. And I'm not saying like reassurance is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying all this stuff like reassurance and like being there for the person, sticking through tough times, that's a good thing. But what I'm saying is that stuff isn't convenient. So if your relationship with somebody is built on convenience, you're in it for the wrong reason. You're in it out of desperation. That's why. I feel like everybody might have done it at once in their life, especially with like being in high school and all that. You get with friends, you hang out with the wrong crowd because, you guys have the same class together. Things like that. Even if you don't necessarily like enjoy being around them, you still do it because it's all you know. And what I'm saying is you have to understand there is a world out there. There's other things to do. There's other people to meet. You don't have to settle for the lowest of the low. Just make sure that if you're not going to settle for the lowest of the low, that you build yourself up in the process. You improve yourself in that process. So just keep working on yourself. I mean, that's what I believe in. I think you are what you attract in a sense. I mean, sometimes, you can attract the wrong crowd, don't get me wrong, but if you don't allow that wrong crowd in, the right people will come. You know what I'm saying? It's like, think of it like this. Think of it as like you have limited seats in a theater. And let's say that for this analogy or whatever, let's say you got 5 seats open. Anybody can come in, no matter if it's a significant other, friends, whatever. So let's say that your max is 5 seats. And let's say that 4 of them is a friend group that is convenient, right? You have that one, maybe it's a girlfriend that's also convenient. Well, now you don't have room for any like real people. So basically what I'm saying is, if you know that you're just with people out of convenience, you don't actually like them, you don't want to be around them, they're like a waste of your time in a sense, or maybe they're not a waste of your time, but you guys just don't relate on anything, everything's an argument, you don't feel comfortable around them, you're not yourself, it's best to just open up the room, open up the seats to let new real people in. That's what I'm getting at. So if your spots are filled up with just, they're convenient relationships, you don't have any time to build up on real ones. So get rid of the convenient relationships. Obviously, if you guys are actually like friends and it's good or whatever, then stay friends with them, or girlfriend or whatever. But most of the time when everything's out of convenience, it's not good. There's always something inside of you telling you to, what would happen if I was with this person instead? What would happen if I hung out with this person instead? Why am I even hanging out with this person? When you get those thoughts, that's probably telling you something that, hey, you're in it for the convenient, not really because you actually like them. But I think this is mainly a problem with like romantic relationships, because guys will settle for whatever. Sometimes girls will settle for whatever. And instead of just taking time to improve themselves and attract the right person, they want to do with what's convenient. What's convenient is somebody down the street, somebody in their school, somebody they work with. And just simply because of that, because it's not hard, they'll just settle for those people. And what I'm telling you is that you should not do that, because convenient is just, you're asking for failed relationships in anything. And once again, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm not saying just because somebody lives in the same area as you that's a bad thing. No. But if you're simply just being around, you're just being friends with them, or you're being, romantic with them because you guys just cross paths every day, I mean, go for it. If it goes well, then good for you. But I'm just telling you that if you're in that similar situation, there's just a thought that keeps coming back to your head. I'm like, why am I friends with these people? Why am I dating this girl? Is there even really anything I even really like about her? Or why am I dating this guy? Is there anything I even really like about him? If you know the answer is no, then you already know what you need to do. I'm not saying you gotta be like rude or anything, but you know that you gotta open up the seats to allow new real people in. And yeah, can you get hurt? Sure you can. Not saying you won't. Even in inconvenient relationships, you can get hurt real bad. But I'm telling you, the real love is where it's not a convenience. It's simply because you actually like the person. Those are going to be your best friends. Those are going to be your best relationships, no matter what. Like, I think a perfect example is like if you went to school with somebody, you guys were best friends, and then the moment they moved away, you stopped talking. It was just a relationship built on convenience. There was nothing really there to keep talking, even after they moved, right? But if it was a real friendship, even if they left, you guys would still talk, still make room, make time for each other. That's real. Friend, significant other, whatever. I honestly think that a long distance is probably will build up some of the best relationships if you're lucky enough to get with the right person. I'm not saying it's not risky, it definitely is, but if you could find a good one long distance, I mean, if you're willing to go through that, I mean, long distance is tough, but I do feel like after the long distance part, and once eventually you guys like move in, meet each other, whatever, after that part, it's very hard to break this relationship up, because think about it. You've spent 1 to 3 years, because that's usually what people do, talking to this person without even being able to see them. Like, yeah, you video chat or whatever, you call, you text, but you don't actually see them in person. When you're able to build something that strong over long distance, over a telephone, just imagine how much stronger it would be when you're in person. And on top of that, it's already inconvenient for them to even try to do long distance with you, and for you to try doing long distance with them. So if you guys are really trying at each other long distance, you know it's real, because who in their right mind is going to sit there and waste their time like that? Even if they're trying to play you, like if they're trying to play you long distance, they're trying to get something out of you. So it could be anything, money. If it's like some people talk about green cards, if it's like a girl or a guy in a different country, they're using for your green card, stuff like that. But I feel like eventually at some point you're going to get that hint that drops in. Like, they're not just going to let it go on for 3 years and not bring it up at all if they're using you. They're going to bring up money, find some excuse to get out of you, or maybe you're famous and they know that and they'll use you for your clout and things like that. But I think you're probably not famous if you're watching this. But you get my point, though. I feel like long distance relationship, if they're with the right people, they really can make the best relationship, because some of the people that do it in real life can't even last that long. So if you can last that long distance without even meeting a person face to face, you can build trust and you can talk and your communication is great. Because it's long distance, your communication has to be good. If you enjoy your presence over the phone, just imagine how much stronger that bond's going to be when you meet in person, right? So it's just, yeah, long distance is very, very hard, and there's a reason why a lot of people can't do it. But I'm just telling you, it's a perfect example of inconvenience can really become a life partner. Think about that. Are you willing to go through that 1 to 3, 5 years of long distance to have a life partner forever? Obviously, am I saying you're guaranteed that? No, that's the scary part. But sometimes you gotta just take that leap of faith. I mean, that's just how it is. But I'm just using long distance as an example. Like, it's inconvenient, and if they're not using it for anything, that's how you know they're doing it straight out of because they like you, they love you, whatever. And those are where the best relationships are built. And then if you meet and it goes really well, now you're even on track to even doing better things with your relationship. So I don't know, that's how I kind of think of it. And then another thing is, like, you can't really build on sexual desire. You can't build on lust or anything with it because you're not physical. So that means you have to like them for them. You don't have a choice. Otherwise, why would you stick with it? If your intention was strictly just to have sex or something, or to lust over him, why would you stick with it long distance if you can't even be physical? So that's another thing. And that also builds a strong relationship, because in my opinion, when relationships are built on lust and sexual desires, those are the ones that fail the most. I'm not saying you can't have sex or whatever, but I'm just saying that when it's built on that, that's all that matters in a relationship. You have a very weak relationship. So if you can build a strong one that's not built on lust, not built on convenience. It's built because you actually like the person. That's where the real stuff is. And yes, you can still get hurt, you can still get played, you can still get all that stuff, but you'll be way happier in the end because at least you tried, you know? You're like, man, I really like this person, and I'm glad I'm never gonna regret not trying to talk to them or try to see if this goes somewhere and stuff like that. Because rejection is way better than regret. That's just a fact. But no, convenience really is, it's just, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not really doing yourself any good from being convenient with everything. So I say just do things because you actually love them. Simple as that. Do things because you actually like them. Be with people because you actually like them, not because they live down the street. Not because it's all you know. Get a new job because you want to get that new job. You want to work there. Not because it's down the street. Not because, your parents told you to work there because that's convenient. No. Do it because you actually want to work there. That's my point. Do things because you actually want to do it. Not because, convenience. Yay. No, that's not the point. If you think about it, things like traveling, that's not convenient. But people do it because they love to do it. Perfect example. If it wasn't if it was convenient to travel, I guess I don't know where I was going with that, but that's a perfect example of like something you love to do that's inconvenient. You're doing it straight out of love of doing it. You like to explore, you like to go around the world, you like to meet new people, whatever it is. That's a perfect example of it. So just remember, stop doing everything out of convenience. It wastes your time. I'm not saying it will end badly, but I'm just saying most of the time you'll just ask yourself, like, why am I even around this person? Why am I even friends with this person? And most of the time it is people from your school, and that's why. And then you start to understand that, and you're like, oh, well, realistically, that's why. It's not because I actually like to be around this person. It's just simply because they're close. They're the same person I see every single day, so why not build a relationship with them? That whole thing. Do what's best for you, basically what I'm getting at. Be with the people you want to be with because you love them, you like them, not because you see them every day, not because you lust for them. Do it because you love them. That's basically the best advice I could give you for this video. I think they would be a lot happier through that. If you do everything out of convenience, you're not gonna do it. It's like buying something cheap. Buying like a hat that's $5 compared to the hat that's 20, even though the one that's 20 will last you years, but the one that's 5 literally ripped the first day you bought it. You got it because it's convenient. You don't want to see that other $15 drop in your account, so you bought it, even though it was a waste of money. But that's really it. Convenience is a disservice. Other than that, life isn't too short to make a change.